Hadas Gold covers media for Politico and joins me now. Hadas, thanks for being here. First of all, for the broader audience out there watching all across the country, why should it matter to them whom it is that Mr. Trump picks for his communications team?
Well, it will tell us a lot about how he's going to deal with the press and which tactic he's going to go. Now, the team that he has chosen is, you're right, the team mostly from the campaign, but it's also important that Sean Spicer is press secretary because he's from the RNC. He's from the Republican establishment. And that tells us, at least for us journalists who will be covering the White House, that he will be more in the vein of what we're expecting when it comes to a White House spokesperson. So it might help allay some fears that some people might have that they were going to completely change how the White House approaches the media. There will still be changes, guaranteed, but it's not going to be as drastic as perhaps everybody thought.
At the same time, as you well know, Mr. Trump's preferred form of communication to reach as many people as quickly as possible are the 140 characters of Twitter. So where does that then leave a White House communications team, you think?
Well, this guy is the master at the media, and so I think that they will be doing a lot of support role in terms of, following up on what Donald Trump might be tweeting at any one time and supporting what he is saying. Like I said, we will be seeing changes, and they've talked about how they themselves plan to get to the American people around the media. And this is something we saw Barack Obama actually do while he was president. Go around the traditional media, go to the YouTube stars, go to social media, things like that. And I think we're only just going to see more of that in this next administration.
Potentially clarifying some of the tweets that are going to potentially be out there?
I'm sure there will be lots of clarifying follow-ups. I mean, press secretary is one of the toughest jobs in the White House, I'd say. There's going to be a lot of incoming.
So Mr. Trump's last news conference was in late July, and on Thursday, the press pool was not actually allowed to go to Mar-a-Lago because there were privacy concerns cited, privacy concerns for the president-elect, his family, as well as club guests. What does that portend, you think, Hadas, about the incoming administration's posture towards the media?
This is pretty unprecedented to actually have a president-elect not have a full protective pool. Now, normally a president-elect, or honestly a candidate and nominee, would have a protective pool, which means they will be with them at all times, similar to what President Barack Obama has right now. And a lot of Americans might not understand why that matters, but it's about having independent sets of eyes on where the president is. They don't expect to be sitting with him at the table while he eats dinner, but they expect to kind of know where he is and what he's doing. What if something was to happen to President-elect Trump while he was at Mar-a-Lago and the media is literally 3 miles away? There's really no way to understand what's going on. And so this is really unprecedented. I'm sure that we're going to see a lot of access fights while Donald Trump is in the White House. His team has guaranteed that there will be a traditional relationship with a traditional pool, but I'm sure we're going to have a few more instances where Donald Trump sneaks away off somewhere or they just don't bring the pool with them.
Yeah, there are questions of what happens in a crisis situation, and the press doesn't necessarily have access to find out what the President of the United States thinks. So that'll be interesting to see what happens there. Let me ask you, we finally learned Thursday that Kellyanne Conway, Mr. Trump's senior advisor, is actually going to be having a White House role as counselor. What do you think that role is going to look like?
I think it's going to be really a Valerie Jarrett type role where she doesn't really have a specific area that they focus on, but is really one of the president's top advisors, top counselors, as is in her name. She is really seen as one of the most important people working for Donald Trump, and now the team will kind of be back together. The same team that helped run the campaign will be back together in the White House, and I think this is probably a very good thing for President Trump to have Kellyanne there next to him every day.
Certainly, she's been a very extremely influential person up till this point. Hadas Gold, thanks so much for coming in. Appreciate it.
Thank you.